Hello, this is Doug Fair, Symphony of Southeast Texas Executive Director, having the privilege and honor of uh, talking with Ryu Goto and Maestro Tipton about our upcoming concert on September 19th. I will bow out of this conversation and let the two of these gentlemen take it away. Gentlemen.
Good day to you, Ryu. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. My first question, where are you these days?
Well, thanks for having me, and it's so good to see you guys both. And I'm in New York State. I've been here. I've been in Queens. I've been living here since November, but just haven't really gotten out much. But staying around the area generally. So
well, it's certainly different times. You know, we're dealing with the whole world. The whole arts world is dealing with a very different set of challenges before us, and we're all looking to see if we can get our seasons up and going. And we had you here several years ago, and you did I think the Brook Violin Concerto. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's the Brook, and it was wonderful. And we said we need to have you back. And this time, we're going to be doing our season opener, September 19th, with a piece that's a fantastic piece that came in the middle 20th century. Before we get into that, what have you been doing with your violin during this time?
It's just, I think I haven't really been teaching much. I was teaching until late last year, I've actually, I've been practicing, of course, but one of these things, I think it's been a good opportunity, with all the silver lining of all of this, for me personally, in terms of kind of practicing and playing the violin has been, when you have a lot of concerts, you're not really devoting much time to sort of kind of center yourself or ground yourself. I know this sounds very cliche and kind of, hand wavy, but it's been an opportunity for me to kind of dig deep, and to dig deep, kind of hunker down, and kind of, I guess it's a reflection of the times too, but kind of think about the essentials, sort of the hierarchy of kind of priorities, and it's whether it's kind of what I'm practicing, like kind of what pieces, or it's how I'm practicing them, how sort of I look at them. It's been kind of a humbling process where, kind of you look at the sort of extraneous things, and you kind of cut them out, or you're deconstructing things and kind of reordering them. It's kind of like, it's all of this obviously has affected us in many ways, but our lifestyles. And I think it's a time for kind of reflection, like, for example, I just paid off my credit card bill yesterday, and I was surprised because it's like a third of what I would have spent, every month, pre-COVID. And it's just, I think, one of those things where I look at the things I was spending on, I'm like, oh man, I didn't need that, I didn't need any of that. And obviously, but I'm spending in different parts, in different ways as well. It's not just kind of a cut back, but it's kind of all of that's been kind of affected. It has similar ripple effects across, all the things that I've been doing, including my practicing. So,
well, one of the things I enjoy, we have a shared enjoyment, is martial arts, and part of that is meditation. And I've done a lot of meditation. The thing I like about meditation is it's kind of a mirror of yourself. It causes you to look inside yourself. And this period that we're going through with this pandemic, it is allowing us to stop, slow down, see what we're about, take inventory of where, in the case you were talking about with money, where you spend your money, where you spend your time, where you spend your spirit and soul.
Absolutely.
And kind of clean things out a little bit. That's not necessarily certainly not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. To give, I guess for some of our viewers, to give a little bit more context, I guess, in terms of like specific details, say, I would give, this is an example, but say I'm playing, just a showpiece, just any showpiece, or any sonata, and I'm thinking of all the sort of things that I used to think were important. Say like, okay, this phrase here, or this this kind of this I don't know,
embellishment,
harmony, yeah, embellishment here, and I've noticed that like when I would practice them, I'm like, I would ask myself, is that really necessary, or is that really you know central, is that really a priority? And I was actually discussing this with a friend yesterday too, but and it doesn't necessarily mean becoming minimalist, or like, where you're really cutting down so that there's nothing there except the bare essentials. It's not necessarily that, but it's a process where you're reducing, the process of reduction, and then you see what's important, and then you reorder things, so you kind of end up, whatever you end up adding later on makes sense within the context, so it's kind of like a cleaning up, but doesn't necessarily mean the end product is less, or any more minimal. It's just a matter of deconstructing into like the important elements and then reconstructing them, so that they make more sense.
And it's similar to what we do as conductors with analyzing a score. We're trying to put away layers and layers and layers until we get to the essence of the piece, and then we reconstruct it so that we can understand how things are organized and the structure of the piece. Let's talk a little bit about the Korngold you'll be performing with us. The theme of our concert is cinematic impressions, and Korngold was a very famous film composer, but then he said he wanted to leave that behind and just write symphonic music and to be taken, quote unquote, seriously. He's a fantastic composer. What are your thoughts about this piece? Have you played this piece before?
I have played this piece actually quite a few times. Not like as much as say like like Tchaikovsky or anything like that, but I have played it enough times. And I think one of the things I do really appreciate about this, and I think it's pertinent to our times now as well, like what we're all going through, because it's kind of taking a step back, like classical music is and music in general, if you look at the data of like how people are consuming music and entertainment and the arts, it's actually gone skyrocket during coronavirus, because people will, for multiple reasons, I'm sure, maybe they're bored, but they're also, and there's more, they have more time to sort of consume these things, even if, albeit virtually. But at the same time, it's been a time where I think there's been a lot of frustration. There's certainly been a lot of kind of anxiety, and for the most part, I think we can all agree that music as like sort of as a thing, as a concept, it's a good thing. Like, no, I don't think many people will say that music is bad. So it's music is intrinsically good, and I think people are naturally gravitating towards things that make them feel a little better, and sort of see kind of the positivity in sort of absorbing the positivity that music can provide during times of crisis. And I think sort of in terms of the Korngold, without obviously without politicizing anything here, I mean, it's an American piece. It's a very American piece in the sense that it's an origin story of sorts. I think he's an origin story of sorts, where he's kind of the forefather of Hollywood music, and all the sort of music, or most of the music that we hear today in the films that we love, and can sort of trace their lineage, in some form or fashion back to Korngold. And he was an immigrant, at the time, and he's also a success story in many ways, because he brought his talents over here, adapted, and created this kind of legacy that has persisted to today, and has kind of grown. And the Korngold Violin Concerto, I'm sure we'll do some kind of like pre-concert talk to get into like sort of the fun trivia facts there, but it's actually a medley of sorts of a bunch of pieces and works that he produced for film, including iconic films of the time like Juarez and Another Dawn. But the beauty of Korngold is that like you don't really need to know any of this stuff. Like it's if you listen to it, you're like, wow, this is it starts off with a kind of very mysterious air, a little bit kind of unusual, but like it's a very positive, it has a very positive energy about it. The piece itself, it's so epic in so many ways, and it's optimistic, and it sounds great as a violin concerto, but when you kind of look under the hood, lift the hood up, you also see that this is kind of a culmination of sorts of a lot of his previous work, and it's, I can't really, I wouldn't know what composers think or what he would have thought here, but it's also, I guess it would be interesting to think about how he created this piece as as a serious work, or maybe a work to be performed by itself, not like together with a film, paired together with a film, but as a standalone kind of suite of sorts. But I think there are definitely links also to his movie music there. So it's kind of like a in between a lot of things.
I see it as kind of lush sounds, very thick harmonies.
Oh yeah.
And it does have a kind of a Hollywood sweep to it.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting too that he dedicated this to Alma Mahler, his mentor. Gustav Mahler was a mentor of his, and so he had this desire, like I said, to be seen as a serious composer, and he was a serious composer. But it really does capture. You can't deny his film score influences in the piece.
And I think it's maybe perhaps that the fact that he dedicated it to Alma Mahler is almost a kind of also a sign of respect, and a kind of a nod to his roots, because he was actually a prolific and very up and coming composer in Austria when he was there, and I think there was a lot of interest in him, but due to the geopolitical circumstances, then he obviously left because as a Jew he fled. So I think even though he ended up sort of adapting his talents to produce something unique, there's a sense of kind of heritage of where he comes from,
Sure.
And there's this I guess that's going back to the whole origin story thing, right? There's definitely this sense of continuity, of context, and we get to reap the benefits of all that as kind of 21st century consumers of his legacy.
I always wish there were times we could go and talk to these composers.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? What was your inspiration? What were you thinking about with it?
And did he know that it was going to be such a have such a big impact? I actually did a episode on a TV show. So I ran a TV show for like a year and a half. I was part of I was the host for a TV show in Japan, and one of the episodes was on Korngold, and we did comparisons of some of his music versus, say, John Williams's themes, and they're actually very, very similar, and you could see the relationships. You know, like the Superman theme, the ET theme. I think they're both similar to, let me look this up right now. I can just make sure that I'm not giving inaccurate information. King's Row, I think. King's Row was the movie that Korngold scored, and a lot of the, you know, John Williams's motifs are based off of, or at least influenced by, King's Row.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
I think, you know, I think the next thing is to get you here. Get you here to Beaumont.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and you know, the orchestra loved working with you. The community loved hearing you play, and you know, there's a point we can talk about music, talk about it, but you just got to hear it, and people.
Yeah, and you know, I would love,
it.
when I'm there, I would love to, you know, if we have a pre-concert talk, I would love to do these things where we kind of give a glimpse under the hood again, you know, where we get to sort of show the different parts maybe that are taken from his film scores. And actually, that's informed the way I perform the pieces and the piece itself, actually. So it'd be very cool to do that. And
we're looking forward to having you here. We want you to
so excited.
Stay safe,
you know,
and stay healthy. And we're going to have everything ready for you.
You guys too. I mean, you know, Beaumont's was amazing, really, and I really can't wait to see you guys. You know, the audience was fantastic, and I think, you know, Korngold and playing Korngold with you guys will be a big hit here. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on this Zoom. I mean, this is the new times, and so we're trying to take different approaches. We appreciate your time. We look forward to having you to return back to Beaumont.
Thank you.
September. You take good care.
Stay safe, guys.
All right.
Thank you.